Good evening, my name is Councilwoman Helen Anthony, and I'm calling to order our regular meeting of the Committee of Finance on September 17, 2024 at 5:33 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Helen Anthony,
Present.
Vice Chairman James Taylor,
Here.
Councilor Sue Anderson,
Present.
Councilwoman Althea Graves,
Present.
Councilwoman Del Sanchez.
Present.
We have 5 present, 0 absent, and 1.
Thank you so much. I would also like to welcome from the City Solicitor's Office, Eddie Shaw, who's here joining us. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank our wonderful clerks, Dialogue and Donna, for helping us tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I would like to take a motion to waive the readings of items number 1 through 14. Waive the reading and discuss and vote on them together. So, motion made by Councilor Angelou, seconded by Councilor Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And with that, I'd like to welcome the Water Supply Board to the table. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Joseph, Chief of Public Education.
Have a seat. Okay, who would like to start today?
I've got some opening remarks if you don't mind.
Sure.
Finance Chair Anthony, honorable members of the Finance Committee, good evening. As I previously stated, my name is Joseph Taylor, and the Chief of Administration of Providence Board of Supply. On behalf of the board, General Manager Rick Bulo, and the Executive Management Team, I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Providence Board FY 2025 annual budget. Each of the items you will consider this evening have been reviewed and approved by our board. And tonight, we respectfully request the approval of this committee. Joining me tonight are 2 subject matter experts to include the Director of Finance, Cheryl McCray, who will provide a brief overview of the budget, and Chris Sabosky, who's the Senior Manager of Engineering and also our IFR Program Manager. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Anthony and members on the committee, thank you for letting us present the budget this evening. Before you have the ordinances, we have the operating fund and the restricted funds that we are looking for approval on. Just briefly, our budget is balanced. It's approved based on rates that with PUC that haven't been raised in 2021. In 2021, we took step 2 of the 494. We are actually in the process of going through a rate plan right now. We should be beginning in October. The rates are effective next July. What we're seeing in this budget is obviously increased expenses during that time, and revenue will be flat because of rates, but also the consumption has been going down. So we have a need to go for additional rates. We're an enterprise fund, so our finances don't have to stay at all based on rates. So we serve about 60% of the state. Our total revenue projected for FY 2025 is 97 million. Consumption is about 7% of that revenue. Overall expenses are up 2.43% from last year's budget. Let's see, we're asking for changes to the classification and compensation ordinances. Total salary increase over last year is about 5%. We're also seeing large increases in street repair, pool, and since the last rate filing, we created the fire division, which is only about 400,000. In addition, our insurance fund, we're seeing, increases in that, the rates again are set by the PUC, we're seeing, those go up about 40% since the last rate filing. And with that, we were comfortable with the budget, and if you have any questions, welcome those.
Can I just clarify a few things? I'm sorry, did you say that the insurance rates have increased by 20%?
40% since the, docket last docket.
And that last docket, I'm sorry, was in,
2021 was our last, rate increase.
and why so much? 40% is huge.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is just an increase in the industry overall, when they're, raising rates. One thing that is particularly high that we were finding that there's only one provider of insurance, so the rates increase. But and then another thing is, the workers' compensation payouts. Our docket originally was filed in 2019, our rates went into for the second step went into effect in 2021. So salaries and increase. So when they look at workers' comp payouts, they look at, their class of employees and then the rates. So those have increased, but our rates haven't.
Okay. And also, I just wanted to, why ask you why consumption is down?
So, some of it is partly there were even that we've been paying last year. So there's less need for people to water their lawns and things like that.
That's pretty much most of it, but, it goes varies from year to year, depending on how much rain, how much sun and how much rain we have. But also with the advent of more and more places that have the, water saving fixtures in the house, laundromat, appliances and things like that. And the lack of industry, which you see more and more industry tends to leave the area. Both of those factors tend to drive the consumption down. The average consumption for our service areas, I started working in 1996, and it's actually 10 million gallons a day lower today than it was in 1996.
Have you quantified that? I mean, I'm just asking for your own, in terms of, have you really tried to break that out and figure out, can you figure out why a little more specifically, or?
And basically the majority, like I said, the majority of it is like industry leading and that, but it's also contributes to the early 90s when the advent of a lot of water safety features and water safety things started to come around. And as time goes on, there's more and more appliances and they get more efficient and more better, better at saving water, which fortunately for us, we're not like the West where we have a demand issue. So it kind of hurts us in a way because we're not selling as much water. So we're not, because the water is based on the rates are based on our revenue is based on what we sell. We don't have as much water in the end.
And I'm sorry, one more question, I've been hoping it up for the committee, and we're not having any issue with supply.
No, so the supply, we have no issues with that.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up to the committee. Who would like to start this?
Thank you, thank you guys for coming here before us and presenting. Just for like my own educational purposes. So your operating budget is the revenue and expenses, and then stuff like the water quality and capital fund. Can you just explain like how money from like the operating budget kind of, it seems like funds other?
Yeah, so we have 11 restricted funds, and each have a specific purpose. So we have a fund that's used for capital purchases. Obviously, we have IFR, which funds all of our big infrastructure purchases, and things like that. So those funds can only be used for certain things. So rates are set overall, and then there's an amount transfer. So about but it's about 46% of our revenue, then it's transferred to the operating fund based on what was said by the PDC, what we asked for, what we needed to fund those funds, this kind of filing, for the needs of those services. So one of the funds is insurance. So what we thought we needed for insurance at that time, that's what we're getting rates for. It comes in through the total revenue and then transferred into that fund. We can only be used for insurance.
So the operating budget is the only place where like revenue like first starts? Like revenue doesn't like ever directly go to any of those other,
It would come into to operating and then if it was for restricted, we would pass it through to the restricted fund.
Generally makes transfers each month to the district.
okay, I guess like what is, it's kind of like hard to tell with all the different graphs, but like what's like is there like profit at the end of the year or like, you just carry over anything that is extra? Or?
So it depends, if we're having a good year, option 5, we may have some left over, which is carry over. And then some years, which we're finding now, there's a deficit because we don't have enough. So it just depends on the restricted funds. If there is a plan for everything that's in there, so especially for IFR, we may not be spending that money in a certain year, but we have a 30-year plan of how that go. So we have to have a plan out on some things. To make sure that we can keep this in, finance.
And then my last question, is there like opportunities? I'm sure you guys are like seeing to like sell more water or like what? Are we kind of like capped out in that sense? Is there like other like cities and towns that have like approached you guys?
When they approached us, but the opportunities that come up, I think most recently it was Johnson, that we acquired their water system. And as a result of acquiring that water system, we had to make some significant investments in the infrastructure to make sure it was a viable water system. So we serve not just Providence, we serve a lot of other cities and towns. Some of which, some of those are some customers.
Right now, about 60% of the state, could we acquire additional, it's a possibility, it just depends on the need and infrastructure and how that works.
So we do have money available, and we do keep our ears out if people are looking for places to get water, but no matter where we try to supply water to, that would require some kind of an investment to be able to get the water that we have to where they want it. But we do always monitor those situations where I know, like Watson, for instance, is one place that they talk about the whole time. There's a possibility of being able to supply water down there into the southern end of the state. We've done various studies to try to look at that, but at this point, it's not.
One of the byproducts of that recent expansion of Johnson that I mentioned is that new Amazon location is going to come on the customers. So it's really online. So that's what Chris mentioned before about the lack of industry is a big industry part of big customer commercials to increase revenues.
Thank you.
Yes, that's what I heard about. Do you have any questions?
You go ahead, I'm writing on my check.
I have a few quick ones. In terms of the compensation changes that we have here, it looks like there are 2 positions. Sorry to get my phone, I just have a spreadsheet here. The chief engineer and the general manager, and the compensation is increasing like quite a large amount, particularly the general manager. It's like the range is like above 25% increase for that position. Can you just speak a little bit about those salary increases and like what drove those like larger range increases?
Not necessarily salary increases, they're rate increases in range.
Yeah.
Based on time. So this kind of push, it kind of moves those salary ranges to what's consistent, similarly sized utilities elsewhere.
Okay, do you guys do like a regular salary review of other similar?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We're members of national trade organizations and the Water Works Association, so we have representation there and kind of keep at whatever people are doing.
Yeah.
Best practices. So this is kind of a correction to a rates that hadn't been written for that for a significant amount of time.
That's,
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
Yeah.
everything.
it's okay if I ask.
Yes, please.
You had mentioned that there's some increases with, like road disturbance and doing the construction in the roads. How much do you guys partner with other folks who are digging into the roads, like Rhode Island Energy and others? Are they giving you alerts when they're already digging into the roads, so you can piggyback on that? Or what does that process look like for you guys to like save money basically on digging?
We spend a significant amount of planning time, dealing with, the different cities and towns that we serve. And also, Rhode Island Energy, primarily, sometimes, navigates a pay, but
Yeah,
they don't tend to do it much industries. But we spend significant amounts of planning time trying to coordinate, our projects, and we have in various, locations in the city, basically on cost sharing with them, where we're doing half the street, they're doing half the street, and we're all getting our work done at the same time. And basically we pay for half of it, they pay for half of it.
that's great. Do you find it challenging to like, and feel free to be like, I don't want to talk about this at public meeting. Do you find it challenging to coordinate with some of those other partners? Like, are they all tearing up the streets and not giving you a heads up or vice versa? Is there like a good process in place in your?
It is a challenging thing to coordinate. I will say, it has gotten better over the years, and I've gotten significantly better over the last half a dozen years. The trouble is their priorities and your priorities don't always align.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to coordinate, sometimes that coordination, things come up in different, there's different, reasons projects come up, and sometimes when things come up at the last minute, you don't have a chance to coordinate, but we make every opportunity to, because the more we share and the more we share, and more actually coordinate what we can do.
Yeah,
So we try our best to do that, but sometimes it's not possible because of the planning.
and for the dam insurance that you mentioned, that there's only one company that's really doing the dam insurance. Are you finding that there are like, I know in other parts of the state, I don't know around the Situate Reservoir as much, but in other parts of the state, there's a lot of problems with old and failing dams and like unclear ownership of dams and things like that. Is that something you guys are experiencing, or is it just like rates are in? Talk about the dams, because it's the overall question.
So we have basically this, in addition to the Central Reservoir, there's 500 dams that we have that are kind of secondary larger dams. That we also own. In addition to that, there's about a half dozen other secondary dams that we have to own. We're actually been looking at, the need for kind of ownership of some of those smaller dams because of some of those liability issues. And some of those ownership, problems that we've had. We've actually had a study to either breach or to get rid of 3 of the 6 small, and because there's lots of ownership where we own half of it, they own half of it, we own this piece, somebody.
Yeah.
It's a complicated scenario, but the larger dams, we look at water quality and that policy regarding that, we would keep the secondary dams. Minimize our liability because it is becoming more of an issue. We have regular inspection of all the dams that were required at EM, and we're up to date on every part of those.
Oh, great. And my very last question is, are you seeing increased contamination? I know for some of the towns that are still on well water and like aren't participating in Providence water system, there's problems with like PFAS or like other contaminations getting into the wells. Are you guys seeing any of that in the reservoir?
We have done testing at the reservoir, source water, and to my knowledge, there's nothing been found in the source water. We do have traces of the PFAS in some of the residuals, but the plant residuals that come out of it. But it's, from what I know, it's under the limits of what is with the PFAS stuff right now, they're kind of developing the regulations right now, so we're monitoring it and we're monitoring what, you know, and we're trying to, we're doing testing to kind of determine what the source of the different contaminants are. We don't have any final, you know, conclusions at this point. We're still monitoring and testing things, but the source border itself is very well protected. We only, I think, the percentage is 60% of the land around the reservoir itself, and it's a very protected water source. And we have not at this point had any hits for that.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Those are my questions.
Yes. Councilor Graves.
Well, 60% of the state that, my question is are you actively going out to try to seek more? Because it seems like you're losing revenue and everything. These things that you quoted doesn't seem like they're gonna go away. The climate change, the safety features on the new appliances and the lack of industry, with the exception of Johnson. That's the only one that really brought in or is bringing in something really big. So are you guys actively looking for more? Are you planning on coming back? Are we planning on staying the same?
Great questions. Little above my pay grade. And get through those answers. I don't, I'm gonna finish about 2 years.
Mhm.
I don't know of any active activity. Activity going on to seek out new opportunities, because again, seeking out the new opportunity also creates a balance.
Yes.
And I think water systems.
Mhm.
Like, it sounds great, but it's not like we explicit that sort of interest. A lot of times, what I understand, that there's been water systems or jurisdictions that have had challenges with maintaining a certain level of quality. But they invited us to participate, and we wanted those investments and added to our customer base. Last year was a bit of an anomaly in terms of, it was very rainy, like last summer, fall. It was very rainy, it's a record rainy July for some reason, and that had a big hit, because that's usually one of our peak months. So we have a peak months and carry that deficit where it's like that, but hopefully not. Well, it's kind of an inverse relation. We like to see conservation, but not necessarily consumption. For what they are, that is. So we like to see more water than one consumption in ours. So,
I lost my train of thought. I messed up on this
All
one.
right, well, I can fill in a little bit. Is there an org chart? Because I don't see an organization chart.
this.
Could you please? I mean, I'd like to see that. We all do. Also, I just want to go back to the increases for the chief engineer and also the general manager. Who is the general manager?
General manager for well,
Okay, and who is your chief engineer?
right, Jason.
And as I recall, the chief engineer, that was a new. I feel there was reorganization, at least since I've been here, or. Do you know when that position, is that all position always been there?
I know, I was asked.
If we could get
I
some
can get clarification for you.
please.
Chief engineer position is part of the salary change of the town.
It is. There was an increase, I think, of 2% to 18%, a new range. According
General
to,
manager.
we have the general manager was 24 to 41% increase in salary range, and the chief engineer with 2 to 18. Year to year comparison.
Unless that would change in the overall ranges, that it's just because of the increase in.
The classification.
Like the N42 change, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it seems to me that we've got,
Yeah.
we had our auditor do a year review, and it seems those two are sticking out as outliers, so. I just would like some more information also, just in terms of the comparisons you did. I don't know if you have something written, I'm sure you do. You know, just where it is in relationship to other comparable water things. Where you're comparing yourself
Just to clarify, the chief engineer position is not filled right now, the right is the executive engineer. That position is not filled right now, so that's kind of the same as the general manager, and so the general manager position is filled.
Was the executive engineer also filled?
Yeah,
Okay, but not.
Managed ranges.
that's right.
Is that a higher grade position than the chief engineer?
Yeah, and here it's N45 and the chief engineer is N42.
Sorry. Oh, okay, okay, so yes,
How long has the chief engineer position been vacant?
since, Mr. Rulo filled the general manager.
Oh, he got promoted from chief engineer.
Okay, so I'm wondering why chief engineer is still part of the. Why it is appearing on the classification at all.
I think it's just a position holder, but it's not in the budget. It's just a list of the positions.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm still wondering if that is the case, then why it is that we're looking at a new range. For a range of salaries for that particular. And why it is we would need, this is why I asked about the reorder.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering why it is, if we. Why we have two positions, why it's vacant, you know, why you still have it, and why, in addition to that, you're also asking for a new salary, which for chief engineer.
I think the salary ranges changed, for all the positions and that's where you're seeing the gap in the engineering, the salary is so high. I don't have Gina's, documents to look at to make sure,
I'd be happy
but I'm
to,
happy to,
well, I think it was merely a comparison between fiscal year 24 and 25, so. I mean, the only things we have highlighted. Are particularly the general manager and the chief engineer, so I think we have to have clarification on what that is. Why you need both. Since. Yeah, I'm a little confused, because I knew that this was are you planning on filling the chief engineer position?
yeah.
Okay, then I would like it to be amended to be removed. I just don't know why we have to have one there, that position. Are there any other vacancies? Right now in your, any vacancies at all, which is something we would typically ask you if we saw that.
I mean, our vacancies are rolling, so yes, there are vacancies.
But none at the top level.
No, well, we have 13 vacancies right now, but all are in the market.
And would you have an objection to remove the chief engineer if not planning on filling that?
Well, can I just give you an example? I use myself as an example. I started with Providence, I started as senior director. So we have several senior directors, FTEs, or placeholders in our ordinance. I assumed one of those. I was promoted and a new position was created for chief of administration last year. I didn't even close out the old senior director position that I occupied. It still exists, but it's not filled. Just using that myself as an example.
Chairwoman, can I just don't understand, if the positions aren't funded. Then why would they? Be there?
Clarifying question to that.
Yes, you may ask a clarifying question, Councilor Randall.
I guess my quick clarifying is, so are the positions then left there as like promotion opportunities or something, so like someone else who's below, maybe in the future, you're just leaving it open as like a potential.
So you have.
pathway. You don't have to create a new position later, it's like,
It doesn't require us to come back or what needs changed, it's already there, we just have to build it. Promote somebody into that role, we fill that other position that they vacate, they really vacate.
and then you don't have plans to fill the chief engineer spot because you're an executive engineer, because that's just gets changed.
That's correct.
So from the PUC, to my understanding, I don't even hear you, but my understanding is that we, you know, are required to say we're gonna fill, you know, X amount of positions, but the class, you know, can be open to what we need, but it doesn't mean that if all of these positions may be filled, it might be what's going to be funded. So I believe we have 259 positions funded. In that position.
What is the difference in between the job of the chief engineer and the executive engineer?
So I believe that the chief engineer would be in the same hierarchy as the general. So the executive engineer is under the same.
I don't have the history of how and why, it's been my understanding that historically, the general manager has been the chief executive engineer. Serving in that role in this particular case, was not an engineer, so we have Greg Jason, who serves as executive engineer. It's for Ricky as the general manager.
I can just tell you that I think we did a lot of work since 1996. And since I started, there has been either a general manager or a chief engineer. It was one or the other. And from what my understanding is if the person does not have an engineering degree background, they can't fill the role of chief engineer. They fill the role of general manager. And it's an either or thing. They said, Greg is the executive engineer, he reports to the general manager as opposed to being the head. And my understanding is it depends on, if you have an engineering degree, you can fill the role of chief engineer. If you don't, then you fill the role of just general manager.
So Mr. Cirillo is not,
He is not an engineer.
okay. All right, so as long as it's under our understanding that it's one or the other. I think that's exactly what happened when we discussed this issue, as I recall, Mr. Cirillo wasn't an engineer, so I mean, if it's, it seems the understanding is one or the other, not both will be filled, but I'd like that to be. I mean, I don't think that it's enough to hold us up on any kind of action to take care of it. I do need to have this. Yes,
Just a few things, because I've been around a while. All departments have fillers, if you want to call them, that they keep the position. So if they do away with the position and take it out with the money, well, example, we didn't have a fire chief for 8 years, but that was in the budget. We didn't take it out, we kept it in case they wanted to get it. And also on the city council side, we've got the same thing. We've got the senior advisor not filled, we have policy analyst not filled. Their director of operations, for this council, so they're placeholders, so we don't have to come back out and say, hey, so we need to hire. Blah, 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 explain why the department has to explain why they have to do it. So it's been there and it's not funded, but if they haven't decided to put something in, that's fine. So if you look through all departments, they're all. They got figures in there.
really appreciate that. That helps. Thank you. I'm sorry I got caught up on that, but I was just wondering why it was. Are there any other questions? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
Go ahead.
Motion to approve items 1 through 14.
I'll second that.
A motion to approve made by Councilor Anderbaugh, seconded by Councilor Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much for coming. Oh, yes, you can stay right where you are. I'm sorry, you're not.
Thanks, staying.
Madam Clerk, would you please read item number 15? On the agenda.
Resolution authorizing the approval of the following change order contract award by the Board of Contract as defined in accordance with section 21-26 B4, and that's PW Order and Sons Inc. $2,101,340.
And we have a replacement. We must, and I'm gonna need a motion, but we are going to remove page 46 through 96. And then replace
In the
it
packet, in the packet,
in the packet.
46 to 96. And
Oh,
we'll
I'm sorry,
replace
in
it
the
with the
packet,
change
I'm
order.
sorry,
Yes.
and then the change order is in a different amount. And I'll let you pass it out and then I'll ask.
The change order is in it, it's in the same room as what's on the agenda. It was the backup that wasn't right. So this is the correct backup to go in.
Oh, okay, so we had some incorrect backup, materials that were included in our packet, and so we do have a replacement, which is being passed out right now. And then.
Human resources, Martha.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's, okay, so the explanation is that human resources, the Mercer figures do not belong in what was distributed with the packet, and then this substitute is, I'm going to correct that, so may I have a motion to substitute?
Make a motion to substitute.
All right, a motion by Councilor Gray, seconded by Councilor Sanchez, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. So. I think this is also your matter, and so I'm going to ask if you would like to present on it.
Take questions. If you have.
Okay, do you know what this is all about?
Oh.
That would help, thank you.
We have the packet that includes the letter.
We just received
Just-
the letter, which is dated June 17th, 2020.
So if you don't mind, I will read the passages that are applicable.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, the Department of Providence will respectfully request change order number 1 with EW Board and Sons Inc. for electrical services expiring 12/31/2026 for $2,101,340 for revised contract amount of $5,101,340. This change is necessary to complete replacement of a 1,000 kilowatt emergency generator and utility service located at the central operations facility. It is in Providence Board's best interest to utilize Providence Board's current electrical services contract to complete the replacement of this critical infrastructure. The work was originally slated to be completed in the future, however, due to the age of the infrastructure and available funds, Providence Water is recommending accelerating this project. Funding has been secured from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank with a low interest bond specifically intended for energy reduction projects. This project has been approved by GRID and a bond has been issued for this work. Providence Water did not cooperate with this project because these services have previously been competitively bid. On July 3rd, 2023, the board of contract supply awarded a 3-year contract to EW and Sons Inc. for electrical services, expiration 12/31/2026. The intent of this contract is to have an electrical contractor whose firm has both experience with water utilities and the ability to mobilize quickly, expedite the completion of a wide range of planned and emergency projects. Although this project is not intended to be completed during this contract cycle, the scope of work aligns perfectly with this contract. With the funding secured and a member of the contract able to mobilize immediately, Providence Water considers this the most cost-effective option to make the necessary upgrades to our critical infrastructure. Providence Water respectfully recommends that the water contract supply grant this change order request in an amount not to exceed $2,101,340 for the revised contract for $5,101,340 through December 31st, 2026, and in budget.
I think we discussed this in Board of Contract and Supply, but zero ME, zero WB. Is this because, is there a reason for that? Why isn't there any, were there minority companies that bid on this originally, or You know why there's no MBWB?
To my knowledge, yeah.
I think it's, I recall, is the company a small company, the, Bobcat and Sons?
They're not, they're not a tiny company, they're actually, because of the kind of equipment, and the type of equipment, and the size of the equipment that we work on, the companies can't be that small, to have the experience of working in that size, equipment and projects. I don't know how big they are exactly, but they're pretty, pretty sizable, where they work on a lot of big stuff. There's not a lot of electrical contractors that work on the equipment. The size that they want.
Thank you.
We could research the solicitation to see if there were any.
They do all of their work by themselves, like, they don't sub out their work, they do their work themselves.
No need to do that only because we have work contract and supply where those questions are asked, so I appreciate you all. I'm gonna open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Councilor Randall.
I have two questions. One is, so the major, thank you for this, by the way, I always just jump right in and for them here. So rude of me. Is the $2 million or $2.1 million change order, just to make sure I understand something I'm saying this is a new aspect of the project. It's not the current project from the 3 million just being more.
So this contract is a blanket contract. So it's served for many services over the course of the years. It's sort of when we have things break, we have projects come up where we need electrical work done. We have a place to go to get those electrical services. That $3 million was for the 3 years worth of expected anticipated work. The $2 million change order is for this one specific project to install the 1,000 kilowatt generator and make upgrades to our electrical service that are necessary to install the generator. So the $2 million is strictly for this one project that wasn't anticipated. The $3 million is for the other scheduled work over the 3-year period. And then it also includes money to that. We don't necessarily always spend the entire $3 million, but it's there in case when things break and when we need electrical services. Due to the size, again, we don't have the expertise in-house to be able to address issues and emergencies. So this is kind of our go-to electrical services.
No, please.
What changed in the last year that made this kind of a critical kind of emergency thing that we need to invest in? Like, did we not see this coming a year ago when it first went through the first contract to supply that we would need a generator?
So there was a couple of factors. One being the availability of funds for the energy bond, which when this contract was originally bid, wasn't identified. So it wasn't in our IFR plan, it was just in our plan a couple of years out. Again, not in this contract cycle. The other piece to this is the generator itself had a significantly large lead time of like 90 something weeks. And there was an opportunity through our generator supplier, Cat. There was a canceled order or something that came up where if we were able to get the project going more quickly, it would cut the lead time. I don't remember the exact, but significantly cut the lead time to get the generator itself in. So the combination of the funding being available and the opportunity to purchase the generator and go from it's like 90 weeks to 40 weeks or something like that. We jumped on it. Jumped the opportunity to do that.
We work very closely with the infrastructure many kind of procurement initiatives. This was one that they had some kind of talk this program in for that. Take advantage of that opportunity to fund.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
And the timing is perfect, so it's fine.
Yeah, I always just get worried about like giant change, like significant percentage change orders and like would it still have won the bid through the work contract and plan if they're away, I mean, this size, but it sounds like this is a real, like, it's an actual moment to take advantage of, not like that. We saw it coming, now I just want to piggyback and same companies get all the money, you know, I just like,
We're very cognizant of the 20% threshold for change orders, and again, it's.
yeah, no, it makes total sense, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
They sit on the board of contract supplies.
Yeah.
Time, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion?
Make the motion to pass number 15. So,
Okay, motion to approve made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Sanchez, all in favor, aye, all opposed. Thank you very much, we appreciate you presenting to us this evening.
Thanks for the great water. Here it is. Thanks for the clean water.
Great, Madam Clerk, would you please read out item number 16?
Item number 16. Excuse me. Resolution authorizing approval of the following change order contract award. Private board contract with Providence, according to section 21.26 B1 and 4. At Bowman, formerly McMahon Associates. And it's at $671,180.13. And that's with the Department of Planning and Development.
Welcome. It's good to win.
I'm Jennifer Lance, the Director of Special Projects for the Department of Planning and Development.
Jessica, welcome. Thank you for hanging in with us. Okay, we have a matter before us. Would you like to walk us through?
Sure, so I am here tonight, to hopefully have your approval for a change order with our, engineering firm Bowman, formerly McMahon. They were acquired some years ago. They are our engineering team and owners and representatives for the Nebraska River Greenway construction projects, our active construction projects going on Kingsley Avenue and down by the Providence Place Mall. We have, as you can probably imagine, experienced some unknown conditions within the roadway. Once you start tearing stuff up, you come upon utilities that were not marked, that don't people knew about, contamination that, you know, we did as much sampling as we could in the previous, like pre-excavation scope of our project. But of course, samples are just that, it's samples about what to potentially expect in the soils, and we are under a remedial action work plan from the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. Based on those samples that we got in the pre construction phase, and we have since construction started have found additional contamination that needs additional testing to make sure that anything that is packed on the project is packed the way it needs to be, or anything that we're excavating and removing from the site is taken and dealt with appropriately based on what is found in the soils. So of course that we've had some additional added time. So over our remedial action work plan, our timelines have been extended from when we originally anticipated that due to permit reviews. The administration paused our ability to continue construction for a little bit while they were getting, you know, the feet under them and wanted to understand the project. And so with that and our remedial action work plan, there are quarterly reports that have to happen while the construction is happening. And since our timeline has expanded to it's gone to about a year over what we originally anticipated from the end of 2024 to the end of 2025. So those quarterly reports are required as long as the construction is happening. So the 76,850 that we are asking for today reflects those changes that we experienced.
I'm gonna ask one quick question and then I'll open it up. This is for testing and remediation or just the testing?
This is for the testing, the assessments and the compliance reports. We have additional funds that are worked into the actual construction contract under our allowances. Should we find additional soils that have to be, removed and remediated, we've got allowances for that in the construction contract. This is just our engineering firm taking us the sampling of the labs.
Okay, questions? Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you so much, Jess. Great. What is like the next step in the project? Is there gonna be any more testing or is this kind of it and we're kind of going on to the next
So
step?
this covers about 10 anticipated instances of testing. That's sort of like the max that our engineers think they'll need. This is a not to exceed amount, so it could be less depending on what the contractors actually find. So this is just sort of helping make sure that we get to the end of the project without having to come back for additional testing, if that becomes needed.
In terms of like timeline, when should this like testing phase be done?
We should be done with the testing by the end of this year. And construction is sort of happening as it's going, so the samples are made whenever, you know, a piece of sidewalk is torn up, the sample is made, sent to the lab, and comes back, and the contractors just sort of keep going. And I expect that the contractors will be then sort of tearing everything up by the end of this year, and we'll start sort of doing all the capping and remediation and everything. It'll just sort of take, you know, the winter shutdown, they'll do what they can, but it's.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm gonna say I'm just happy to know. Just that you're working on this. This is a big project and thank you very much. May I have a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Councilor Randall, seconded by Councilor Graves, all in favor? Aye. All opposed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, I think we're.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second it.
It's
It's bad.
Seconded by Councilor Graves, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you so much for committee members for coming. Probably should just put it on.
Yeah. Not yet.
Are we expecting a meeting next Tuesday?
With the energy. To do work.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, we haven't been able to.